Carmi Levy is CTV's tech analyst, going to talk about a couple of stories in the news today. I want to start with this story only because I have friends who are out in LA right now and took a Waymo and sent me a picture from what it looks like inside when there's nobody driving the car. And I know we're getting closer and closer to eventually having this here. But the thing that's already happening in some spots are delivery robots. Now, I know we don't have those in Montreal yet, but they're starting to happen in more and more American cities. So you have a story on one of these that I'm surprised, or maybe I shouldn't be, that no one who developed these thought might be an issue. So please give me the lowdown on this, Carmi.
Yeah, so these things look like basically coolers on wheels, very high tech. They're autonomous. They have sensors. They're aware of the environment around them. They're designed to go on sidewalks at low speed, and instead of an Uber Eats or a skip the dishes driver driving your meal from the restaurant to your home, these things sort of toddle along the sidewalk and bring it to you autonomously. Now, there's a city in the UK, Bristol. There's a company called Just Eat that launched a pilot program on their streets. And unfortunately, one of the city councilors from the city was walking her very small dog along the way, and the dog almost got wiped out by this thing. Thankfully, the dog is fine. There was no real accident. It was a very close call, but of course, caused a bit of a brouhaha because, as it turns out, Just Eat never bothered to tell the city that they were having the pilot program in the first place. They just brought them to town, plunked them down on the streets, and turned them on. City council had no idea until this incident happened. And so, we're starting to see them in some cities in Canada. There have been some pilots in Toronto as well as Ottawa, and eventually they will come to Montreal as well. And so, I think the lesson here is it isn't just about the technology. You can have all the technology in the world. You kind of have to maybe have some conversations with actual human beings before you deploy these into the real world, because the last thing you want are citizens, and I walk my dog on the streets all the time. She freaks out when she sees autonomous lawnmowers and things. You kind of want people to know in advance before these start showing up in their neighborhoods.
Maybe they have to start dressing these delivery bots or these particular, whatever we're calling them, the robots, like animals.
I am down for that. In fact, there
say?
are some that have anthropomorphic features on them. So they put little eyes on them, kind of like graphics that make them look cute and human-like. Some people call it creepy. I think it's kind of adorable, and I think it definitely makes for a really great Instagram moment, but as long as we have advance notice.
Just not to freak the pets out. All right, CRTC in the news. So explain what this is, because when I saw activation fees, I'm like, activation fees for what? What are they banning?
Yeah, they're called all sorts of things. Activation fee, modification fee, connection fee, eSIM fee. Basically, it's when you switch from one carrier to another as a way of keeping your business and not switching to other carriers. They will often charge you $75, $80 in order to set up shop on a new carrier. And so the CRTC has said, that's really not fair, because that it reduces choice for consumers. It makes it more expensive for them to maybe cross the street and find a better deal. So they've ruled that as of June 12th of this year, these fees will no longer be applicable. They will no longer be allowed to charge them to customers. You will be able to switch from one carrier to another if you find a better deal without being penalized for it. And so the good news is, obviously it'd be better if it was effective today. But the cool thing is, because it's coming, if you find yourself wanting to switch carriers now between now and then, I would say give them a call and negotiate with them, because we are seeing cases where they are dropping it even if consumers say they don't want to pay the fee. So it's already starting, and it's a little bit of a benefit for consumers. Canadians love to complain about their wireless plans and how much they cost. This is just one way that the CRTC is making it a little less expensive for us to keep our phones working.
And obviously, now that this is going to be coming in June, you have a little bit of a little extra oomph to be able to call up and say, hey, I know this is coming, so please go ahead and do this now. I shouldn't have to wait till June, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's one of those rare times when our national telecom regulator actually works to our advantage. And so I haven't spoken to anyone from the CRTC this week, but I certainly want to give them a giant high five.
Yeah, absolutely.
For finally thinking of us and doing the right thing. Good job, CRTC.
All right, tech companies teaming up to combat scammers. I'm surprised they're getting together to do anything, frankly.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's this initiative now that basically what they're doing is so all the major companies that you can think of, so Google, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, OpenAI, Adobe, even Match Group, that does the dating app. So they're calling it the Online Services Accord Against Scams. And so basically They're going to pool their resources. They're going to talk with each other, add common fraud detection tools, new security features. They're going to toughen authentication on their platforms, and they're not going to do it alone. They're going to create standards that the entire industry can follow. And this is really great because up until now, it's sort of been catch as you can. Every company sort of has its own approach to security, and of course, criminals zero in on that. They look for the weakest link. And so they, for example, Meta has been particularly weak. Lots of scan activity on, say, Facebook and Instagram. And so, criminals have been spending a lot of time targeting people on these platforms. Now, everybody using common security protocols will mean it's safer for all of us, regardless of which apps we use or how much time we spend on them. It really is the first time that these competitors who would literally compete each other to death, that they have gotten together and said, you know what, we got to do something about online criminal activity. It's hurting us all. I know that we're competitors. Let's team up on this one and save ourselves huge headaches. It's a really important initiative and very long overdue.
Hear, hear. And then I want to get to this story because sooner rather than later, we're going to be seeing Chinese EVs, as people may know, coming into Canada. And there was a question, Carmi, that came up when we first talked about the story, people suggesting, well, they're not as good or they're built in China, so we should expect they won't be quite as good as electric cars built here. Turns out that's not the case. We found that out. But I was not aware of this next story about charging these cars because this seems to me kind of crazy.
Yeah, so BYD, and this is a company that we should know. They are basically the next Tesla. In fact, late last year, they surpassed Tesla as the world's biggest EV maker. And they're not just they're not just a copycat manufacturer. They're introducing next generation technology that not even Tesla has. And so one of the things they've just announced, it's called flash charging, which allows an EV, it can go from 0 to 70% in 5 minutes. And it can be almost
crazy.
At 100% in 12 minutes. And the kicker here is that works in temperatures as low as minus 30 degrees. Perfect for a Montreal winter because we know that EVs traditionally have had issues. It takes longer to charge in winter. The charge doesn't go as far in winter. Well, apparently BYD has technology that overcomes this, and it has a range of up to 800 kilometers. And so they're launching it in Europe next month. But the cool thing is that as of March 1st, we all heard about that deal from the Canadian government to allow Chinese vehicles, 49,000 of them, into the Canadian market. Guess what? BYD is one of those companies. We may very well have that technology on our streets here within months. And of course, the flip side of that is we need chargers that are compatible with them. They also have a program to build out chargers much like Tesla's supercharger network. So this is definitely something to watch. Even if you don't want to buy a Chinese vehicle, the very fact that they're introducing this technology means now everyone else is going to have to introduce this tech that overcomes the one last excuse that most people have to not buying an EV because it takes too long to charge and it would really wreck their road trip timing. With this technology, that's no longer an issue.
See, I have a couple of questions here. Number one, that sounds incredible. 12 minutes for a 100% charge for an EV. I mean, I know people who are, drive from here to Toronto and need to stop. It's 20 minutes, 25 minutes, half an hour. That's number one. And number two, did they say if it were, I know you just mentioned they're going to do a charging network. Will it require a dedicated charger? Or can you use the existing system and still get the benefit from a BYD car?
Potentially, you can use existing infrastructure for conventional charging. In other words, it won't be as fast, but you'll still be able to plug in and get on your way, even if it'll take a little bit more time. In order to truly take advantage of that high-speed charging, you are going to need sort of the charging technology. The charger itself is going to have to be upgraded, and that's where BYD and its partners come into play. They're going to have to build these things out so we can take advantage of them. But just like Tesla, if the company decides that's important to grow its market share, they're going to make that happen. And BYD has been doing this at a whole bunch of other markets. I would expect they're going to do it in Canada as well.
By the way, just as a final question on this, if you have a car with existing battery technology right now, and this system becomes available, would it work on an existing battery? You'd have to upgrade the existing battery as well.
Yeah, you have to upgrade the battery. Chances are the vehicle itself would not have been engineered to take advantage of it. But what it does is it means that whoever made your current vehicle now has an incentive to introduce better batteries because, of course, they want to sell you your next car. They may have a conversation to have with you the next time you go back to the dealership.
Wow. It's going to be fun to see. Imagine that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Carmi,
I'm
thank you.
I'm down for that.
12 minutes? Yeah, I think I could do that. Carmi, thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, Aaron.
The newest tracks.
Let's go.
New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.